Part 92. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 911. Chapter 911 Failure. Zhang Xiaoxiao was shut up in the room. Number 9 has regained his energy and is in high spirits. Sister, I have recovered. Huanghua is indeed very powerful. Sister, you are so powerful. Sister, I'm hungry. Sister, I want to eat fried chicken. The noise gave Zhang Xiaoxiao a headache. Number 9 is a talkative person. Stop, Xiaju, we'll make something delicious later. You've recovered. Where is number 10, can you feel it? 10 seconds pause. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked again, Xiaju, where is no 10? The recovery pills are secondary. What I need is to find number 10. There was another 10 seconds of silence. Zhang Xiaoxiao realized something was wrong even though he was slow to react. Xiaju, what happened? Number 9 answered timidly. Sister, I didn't find any trace of him on the 10th. Xiaju, what's going on? Do you mean he escaped? Or did he not come to this world? Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little angry. He had worked so hard to help number 9 find Huanghua and restore No 9's energy. This was not the result he wanted. Perplexed that number 9 is playing tricks on himself? Not too possible. 19 had a pleasant time getting along with Zhang Xiaoxiao from the beginning. Now tell yourself that the 10th is gone. 9 will not lie to himself. Sister, I chased him here at first, but I didn't notice the shadow of number 10 after I lost my energy. Now after I recovered, I found that there was no trace of number 10 here at all. Sister, don't worry, you find the recovery pill first, and then I'll find a way to find the whereabouts of no 10. Number 9 himself was a little embarrassed. His sister was so kind to him. She gave him all the delicious food and fun things, and even helped him find Huanghua. However, he couldn't help his sister with anything. Number 9 was a little sad. Fool, you tried your best. At that time, you lost energy. Since number 10 has developed intelligence, he will definitely have a premonition of danger. It is normal to escape. I will find the magic pill and you find number 10. We can defeat number 10 by working together. Zhang Xiaoxiao had a hunch that number 10 would be very difficult to deal with. This guy had more energy than number 9, so I'm afraid he was very confident. She and number 9 must not have any internal strife now. Sister, thank you for trusting me. I will find number 10 as soon as possible. Number 9 is really grateful for Zhang Xiaoxiao's trust. Even Wu Weiguo couldn't trust him at the beginning. Sister really trusts him. Zhang Xiaoxiao frowned. The people in Gujiakan don't stop. Village Chief Gu convened a village committee meeting. The purpose is one. Village Chief Gu was moved by emotion and reason, and asked several elderly, weak, sick, and disabled families in the village to bring their whole families to plead for one purpose. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others asked them to help the villagers for their survival. The simplified explanation is that you want to ask for help but don't want to be humble. This is using coercion to force others to help them without wanting to fall into favor. Village Chief Gu watched as 5 families were elected. How about it? You can go together tomorrow. This is for the welfare of the villagers and for your survival. No one can survive if this continues. The village has long been out of food. Of course, the village chief must have food in his hands. Chief Gu holds most of the village's food reserves. As long as she is willing to take it out, the people in the village can still have enough to eat. But village chief Gu has always insisted that these grain reserves last for a year, so how can they be taken out now? Moreover, these old, weak, sick and disabled people may be the first to be abandoned by the village's first profit chain. Even if there is food, it is impossible to distribute it to these people. Of course, this is the requirement, forcing these people to go to Zhang Xiaoxiao and others to plead for mercy. It is true that all the 5 households elected are old, weak, sick, and disabled. The old lady was leaning on crutches tremblingly. Whoever wants to go can go, but I won't go anyway. The people in our village did something worse than a dog or a dog to others. In the end, threatening them didn't work, and begging them didn't work either. They pushed us out as a shield. Why do you think we are stupid? People have food to eat, and they rely on their own abilities. Otherwise, you will honestly punish those who do things to them. It's not like they didn't put forward conditions, so why should they use us as a shield? We have never eaten food from the village. Now when it's time to hire people, they push us out. Whoever wants to go can go, but I won't go anyway. Old man, let's go. Don't listen to the nonsense these people are talking about here. They have enough to eat and drink every day, and they are still thinking about the things in other people's hands. Don't think that we are stupid, we just think that people can have superpowers. I'm afraid that none of us in the Medicine God Association have come up with this kind of thing for generations. Now, if you have someone else's idea, if you have the ability, we can't stand up to someone else's anger. We old bones should go home and stay indoors. The family evacuated. The remaining 4 households looked at each other with firm eyes. We won't go either. Whoever wants to go can go. We can starve to death, but we won't make fun of our own lives. The other 4 households also left. The remaining group of people looked at each other in confusion. Wait a minute, if you are willing to go, we will give you 50 kilograms of rice per family, 50 pounds of rice. Gu Ming shouted from behind. This is plain rice. Who would be surprised if one of the 4 families looked at each other with a blank stare? They eat bamboo rice. Lately, they have been following them to rest and pick up bargains, and they have saved a lot of bamboo rice at home. They all knew that after clearing the bamboo forest deliberately, they only collected a small amount of bamboo rice each time and then evacuated quickly. There was a large amount of bamboo rice in the bamboo forest. The dozen or so old, weak, sick, and disabled families have long been into a rope. Everyone follows others to collect rice at any time. Now every household has saved at least a few hundred kilograms of bamboo rice. Moreover, after eating this bamboo rice, people's energy and spirit have improved a lot, and even some old problems in the body have improved a lot. Just by looking at the bamboo rice, they knew it was a good thing. The bamboo green worms can keep guard in the bamboo forest, it must be because of the rice. Now they have not only harvested so much food, but they can handle it in 1 year or even 2 years. The most important thing is this good food. After eating it, they all feel stronger. Some people have grown new teeth, and some people's white hair has turned black. What is this concept? There is a feeling of being a new person. After losing such a huge benefit, it would be very heartless for them to help the people in the village to harm 5 people. One after another, the few remaining families also left. If it was because of this stutter before, they might have done crazy things, but now they want to be a decent person. There are actually not many families who can survive in the village. In recent years, there have been only 30 or 40 families in the village, and now more than a dozen families have left. There are more than 20 families left to look at each other. Village Chief Gu gritted his teeth and said, if they don't go, forget it. Then be more direct and use your idea. These words were said to Gu Ming. Gu Ming had said that he would give medicine. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 912. Chapter 912 Blowing the Wind. That night, Gu Ming set off secretly. He took 4 people and walked around outside Zhang Xiaoxiao's house. There is a well near Zhang Xiaoxiao's mother, and a total of 3 wells have been dug in the village. This well is located closest to the foot of the mountain and is rarely used by people. However, Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others must use this well for water, so the four of them drugged the well and secretly returned to the village at night. The sky is bright and clear. There is a knock on the door. The voice is very soft. You can't hear it at all if you don't listen carefully. Wu Yang was very vigilant. He was the only man here, so he was naturally worried. Who? Gu Xian hugged his sister tightly and said, if someone tries to deal with you, you must be careful. After saying a few words, there was a rustling sound outside the door, and the sound of footsteps leaving slowly. Gu Xian looked at Wu Yang, who stood up and went to tell Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, don't worry about what to do, we are still exactly the same as usual. Zhang Xiaoxiao had noticed someone approaching just now, and with his own eyes, he could clearly see the movements of the people outside. They also wanted to drug them. These people had a very good idea, if they were really the five of them before. Maybe these people succeeded, but they are no longer the same as before. You must know that the water they are drinking now is water produced by Bai Xiao's water-type abilities. In order to practice her water power, practice makes perfect. She filled all the furniture in the house with water every day. Of course, there were only a few water storage tools in the house. Even forcing the 6 people in their house to take a shower every day, just so that she could exercise the energy of her powers. How to control more skillfully. They had no chance to drink the water from the wells outside. They had not drunk the water from the wells for some time. These people actually want to take advantage of this place. Wu Yang was happy when he heard it, and his master was confident. Look at what he said, don't worry about their momentum at all, this kind of magnanimity is that of a hero who doesn't care about Xiao Xiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao began to think about the rejuvenation pill. How to leave Kunlun Mountain. I have always been thinking about the Medicine God Association's rejuvenation pill, and this time it was very useful to Song Moding. Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little angry. He just wanted to get the prescription for Shen Dan back, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult. Having been trapped in this place for more than 3 months. Of course number 9 now has the ability to tear apart time and space and take her away. The problem is that it is useless to leave now. The recipe for the rejuvenation pill must be obtained. Having the rejuvenation pill himself will only benefit Song Moding. It would be the most appropriate time to leave at that time and look for number 10. It is unfair and aggrieved to think that after working so hard and not seeing any of the fruits of your labor in the end. Hui Shendan, when can you come to the bowl? How are they doing? Village Chief Gu has been sending people to observe Zhang Xiaoxiao and the 5 of them. To be precise, it is surveillance. They have been quiet all day, and several of them have not left the house. Except for the cry of the child we heard in the house, there is no movement. On weekdays, they go to the bamboo forest on the mountain to fight monsters. But we didn't expect that today no one left the house. Gu Yang was a little overjoyed, because he felt that his plan would succeed immediately, as long as he could drug all 7 people in the room. As soon as the 5 men were captured, the whole village exchanged their guns for cannons. They have a lot of medicine that can cure these 5 people. They have a special medicine that will cause these people to lose their memory after taking it. Then they will instill the preconceived memories into them, and these 5 people will become the descendants of the Gu family and the backbone of the Gu family. What can we let them do then? Just thinking about how much glory these 5 people would bring to the Gu family. They cannot leave the Kunlun Mountains because there are too many monsters, too many terrifying traps and crises. Now that they have these 5 people, they are equivalent to having 5 bodyguards. They can do whatever they want. There are many exotic flowers and plants in the Kunlun Mountains. If they can't make the medicine they want, then the Medicine God Association will become a piece of crap. As long as they can leave the Kunlun Mountains, they will immediately overthrow the Medicine God Association. Let the world see clearly the true face of the so-called Medicine God Association. They are the serious descendants of the Gu family. They are the ones who should control the lifeblood of the Medicine God Association. At that time, let them see who should dominate this world. Gu Yang trembled with excitement whenever he thought about it. Dozens of people with weapons in their hands quietly surrounded Zhang Xiaoxiao and their house. The dozen men were already useless. After Zhang Xiaoxiao took care of them, their meridians were completely cut off. Of course, Zhang Xiaoxiao was not good at martial arts. Zhang Xiaoxiao used a method of splitting muscles and bones to deal with them. If a doctor can't even grasp the lifeblood of bones and the direction of blood vessels, how can he still be qualified to be a doctor? She just punished these people a little. Who would have known that these people didn't understand the routine at all, and they only used the method of bone setting for a long time, which only made these people more injured. The main force was not there, but there were still many young and middle-aged people in the village, so these dozen people took up weapons and began to prepare for battle. Of course, the reason why they were emboldened was because Gu Yang told them that Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others had already drank the water that he had drugged. After drinking that kind of water, people will fall into coma and will never wake up unless they sleep for 12 hours. Sure enough, apart from the cry of the baby, there was no other sound in the room, not even the sound of coaxing the child. Gu Yang opened the door. Everyone come in. Wu Yang collapsed on the sofa, sleeping like a mess. Wu Yang practiced very late last night, and was busy absorbing dragon crystals today. He only had time to sleep in the afternoon. He was really tired. Gu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. He was snoring so loudly that he was obviously asleep. Tie the person up quickly. Why are you bothering with it when you are obviously asleep? It seems that there is no problem, their purpose has been achieved. More than a dozen people were overjoyed. Hurry in, gear up, and prepare the rope. Gu Xian opened the door and went to a toilet. When he came back, he saw Gu Yang and the others. What are you doing? Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others opened the door, and the four girls looked at a group of people and the ropes in Gu Yang's hands. Zhang Xiaoxiao's lips curled up. He was brave enough. They didn't even bother to inquire before they dared to come. Looks like the lesson is not enough, then stay. Zhang Xiaoxiao was irritated, but these people happened to bump into him, so more than a dozen people were tied tightly with ropes. Sitting in a circle in the snow outside the house, shivering. Snowflakes started to drift in the sky again, and the wind began to blow loudly again. Although it was not level 15, it was definitely level 4 or 5. Everyone felt the wind blowing to their bones. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 913. Chapter 913 Leaving. Village Chief Gu received the news that the people in the village had missed something. Gu Yang was outside the door. Want to save people. But the young and middle-aged people in the village are now almost dead, and 15 of them are injured and being raised in the village. Now they are almost useless, and a dozen others are and thrown outside the door. It is not easy for them, the old, weak, sick and disabled, to save people. It's not like I haven't seen the tricks those 5 people have. Let's not talk about Zhang Xiaoxiao, let's talk about the other people. Can they block the fire, or can they block the ice arrow? Saving people or sacrificing your life? Village Chief Gu did not show up in the end. Gu Yang was trembling. In the middle of the night, the temperature dropped by dozens of degrees, and they were almost like popsicles. Gu Yang believes that it won't be long before they really freeze to death. These people are really cruel, and his grandma doesn't have the courage to save them. He knows his grandma too well. Although he may look kind-hearted, his heart is definitely not that kind, and he treats everyone equally. Although he is her grandson, it is a pity that he is only a grandson. Compared with outsiders, he is naturally considered a close relative. But compared with outsiders, he is not much better. Once he encounters a life or death matter, grandma will definitely abandon him. Haorugjiu, I can give you the prescription for the rejuvenation pill, and even the ingredients for making the pill. There are many in the Gu family's warehouse, and I can lead the way. Your own value must be reflected. Otherwise, there will be a dead end. Zhang Xiaoxiao was in the room with his ears open. Rejuvenation pill? Gu Xia, Gu Yang, that's not right? Isn't President Gu also called Gu Yang? Could it be said that the Gu family also has a shady story? Do you really have a prescription for a recovery pill? Zhang Xiaoxiao stuck his head out, his eyes bright. Gu Yang nodded hurriedly, his nose and tears flowing together, and his nose froze into icicles. If you continue like this, you will die. Really? I swear, I will be struck by lightning from heaven if I tell lies. Others also agreed that as long as they can survive, they can sell anything. The prescription isn't worth much anyway. In the Kunlun Mountains, the rejuvenation pill is nothing. They can't refine other quality rejuvenating elixirs. It is useless to hold a prescription. Really? It's absolutely true. If we lie, we will all die without a burial place. Zhang Xiaoxiao greeted Wu Yang with a smile. Bring people in. After a meal of bamboo rice porridge, the 15 people were so grateful that they burst into tears. Gu Yang finally felt alive. Where is the prescription for the rejuvenating elixir? She came for the prescription. Let me go, then I can write a prescription for you. Gu Yang was proud that he could finally control Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others. You can just use your mouth, but you don't have to let go, so we don't get into trouble. Zhang Xiaoxiao refused harmlessly. Gu Yang paused, I won't say anything until you let me go. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Gu Yang as if he were a fool. Throw them out, I don't want to see them. Wu Yang took Gu Yang's collar and left. The smile is sinister and cunning. This guy is probably numb from the cold. Is there something wrong with him? It turns out his brain is mushy. You can say such things. Do you think you are the only one who knows the resurrection pill? Have you forgotten that besides you, your Gu family there are too many people? And your village chief's grandma is still in the village. At worst, we will attack the village, but we don't believe that your grandma won't hand it over. It can be seen that your grandma has lived to such an old age and cherishes her life very much. I have heard my grandfather say before that there are 3 things when people get old: they love money, they cherish their lives, and they do not sleep. Gu Yang was frightened. He rubbed his feet against the ground and tried hard to stay in place. Spare me, Haorugjiu, I will say it. An hour later, the door to the Gu family was kicked open. Village Chief Gu took 5 or 6 members of his family and looked at the intruders. Haorugjiu, what are you going to do? This is a private intrusion. He is very aggressive, especially when he sees his grandson taking the lead. He was so angry that he wished he could give Gu Yang a cane. Gu Yang, let's see how you perform. Gu Yang rushed over. He opened the door to Village Chief Gu, who almost broke his neck. Gu Yang, what are you doing? Grandma, I don't want to die. Open the warehouse door. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the medicinal materials in a room. It was really a treasure of heaven and earth, with everything you need. It seems that all these years in the Kunlun Mountains have not been in vain. 3 days later, after Zhang Xiaoxiao made countless mistakes, Village Chief Gu was extremely distressed. What a waste of natural resources. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked out, holding a bottle of medicine in his hand. Village Chief Gu, look at the quality. Is it your recovery pill? Zhang Xiaoxiao's head was burnt black and fried in a frying pan. Village Chief Gu sneered, how can the rejuvenation pill be so easy to make? It's quite beautiful to think about. Take it and open it and smell it. He turned to stone instantly, took it out and poured a pill into his hand, smelled it, and looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao in surprise. You actually succeeded in practicing it. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the pills away. The rejuvenation pill was still a piece of cake. Thank you. Zhang Xiaoxiao left in a hurry. Xiaju, how are you? Now I have the healing pill. I want to find No 10. Number 9 jumped for joy. Sister, great, great. We can go. Wait, Xiaju, what should they do? They can't just stay here. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help but worry like an old mother. Wu Yang and the others can't just stay here. Although it is easy for them to live here now, they still stay with such a group of people in the Kunlun Mountains. Especially since village chief Gu is so cunning and has a big grudge against the people from the Medicine God Association. Who knows how to deceive these 4 simple young people in the future, and what they will do will be regrettable. Zhang Xiaoxiao would rather send them back to their parents, and it will be none of his business in the future. What she can do is to give 4 people extraordinary abilities in this world. The Medicine God Association should be able to get its wish. Number 9 was in a dilemma. Sister, it takes a lot of energy to tear apart the space. Give a pile of red flowers. No unnecessary flowers. There are also a bunch of fruitless results. For a moment there was nothing. Okay, sister, wait. Wu Yang and the others saw the busy traffic on the west street as soon as their eyes darkened. Bai Xiao turned around and looked around. Where's Xiao Xiao? Xiaoyu and Lu Yun also looked around. It seems that Xiao Xiao is missing. Wu Yang sighed quietly. Stop looking for her, Xiao Xiao has left just now. She left me a message, asking us to do what we should do. Carry forward the spirit of the God of Medicine that the Medicine God Association should have and make better medicines. The 4 of us can definitely go in and out of the Kunlun Mountains freely, and we will do what we should do from this year on. Hold 4 shiny dragon crystals in his hand. The 4 people had tears in their eyes. Zhang Xiaoxiao is gone. 4 outstanding pharmacists in history appeared in the Medicine God Association. On the tablet of the ancestor of their Medicine God Association, there is a Master Xiao Xiao. No one knows who this person is. But every student who worships them as their teacher must kowtow to the small tablet of their ancestor. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 914. Chapter 914 Bandits. Zhang Xiaoxiao opened his eyes. You stinky woman, you're still pretending. Do you think I can't notice you pretending to be a man? Hey, I've taken advantage of you. Grabbed a handful of Zhang Xiaoxiao's hair. Zhang Xiaoxiao had a severe headache. He turned over and instinctively took action. There was a fat man lying on the ground. A piece of rag was stuffed in the mouth, and the whole person was tied into a rice dumpling. Zhang Xiaoxiao rubbed his scalp. This place looked very unfriendly. Look at the clothes on your body. Xiaju, where is this? Sister, there is a country called Wuyan. The monarch here is fatuous, corrupt officials are rampant, what is superior is ineffective, foreigners bully, and it is basically a chaotic world. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the fat man in front of him. He is wearing short clothes, an earthy yellow short coat, a belt around his waist, and his hair is tied back in a braid. Right? Ancient people. A country that does not exist in this world. Wuyan? There was a lot of noise outside. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked out and saw the fire in the yard. There was a dagger in his hand, which was pressed against the fat man's neck. Take out the rag from his mouth. How many people are there with you outside? Who are they? No, 9 can give her not much information. There was already a corpse lying in the room, and a woman wiped her neck, which was stained with blood. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't know what the situation is now. Bitch, let me go, or I'll kill you without a burial. The mouth is gagged again. Zhang Xiaoxiu's hand raised the knife and dropped it. The fat man's leg hurt. What would it feel like to be stabbed close to his life? This is the most vulnerable part of the leg. It definitely hurts, but I feel even more scared. Just a little bit away, and my life will be gone. I dare not tighten my legs even if it hurts. I am afraid that if I am not careful, I will lose my life. The fat man was so painful that he broke into a cold sweat. He was in the business of killing people, but the woman in front of him didn't panic at all when she saw the blood. She looked at him with cold eyes. The look in the fat man's eyes was seen only by those who have really seen blood. Of calmness. This woman is not a good person. At this moment, the fat man did not dare to have a perfunctory attitude, otherwise he would really become a dead person. Woo. Let me ask you an answer. If you dare to mess around, I can't guarantee anything else. But it is still possible to deal with you. Whether you die or die with me, you should think carefully before answering. Zhang Xiaoxiao is not worried about a fight. His force value is now absolutely outstanding, and the physical strength training in the mode is no joke. You can kill monsters, but you still need to kill people. The fat man could see that the woman was telling the truth and nodded vigorously. Take out the rags. We are bandits nearby. We have learned that there are many people here who are private salt dealers and want to make a profit. Now that the large army has gone back, there are only 5 people left. If you let me go, I can guarantee that you will never, woo. Fatty looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao who left him behind and went out. Going out? This woman is really brave. The big cow outside is his subordinate. He came in just now to have a good time, but even if he left the big cow to guard for him, he is no match for the big cow. This woman will definitely be dead if she goes out. I secretly rejoiced that with the help of Daniel, I would definitely be saved. Closed your eyes and lay there waiting. When Zhang Xiaoxiao went out, he saw a bearded man who looked like a black tower. He was holding a 9-ring sword and was standing outside the door with his arms folded. He had a look of reluctance on his face. When he heard the door knocking, he couldn't help but look. Come over. Said in a teasing tone. Boss, your speed is too fast, that little couldn't even let you survive a stick of incense, it's so embarrassing. As a result, I saw the young lady rushing out with her hair disheveled. It seemed that the boss of his family failed to control the young lady and instead let her escape. Hairy skin can be seen through the loose skirt, which makes the big cow's heart sway. Grandma's choice is to make the soup herself. He stopped the little girl with a ferocious smile. Where are you going? Little ladies, please come into Grandpa's arms. The little girl was quite obedient. She probably panicked and ran into the big cow's arms. The big cow hugged her happily. He felt a sudden chill in his heart. Looking down, I saw a bright dagger in my heart, and I closed my eyes. Zhang Xiaoxiao dragged the guy in, who looked like a dead pig, and threw him next to the fat man. The fat man is thinking about good things and is waiting for the big cow to save him. In the end, I didn't hear anything, and then there was a thump. Opening his eyes, he saw the big cow lying beside him silently. From his position, he could see the dark mark on the clothes on Daniu's chest gradually getting bigger and bigger. Of course he knew what it was. As he lay there, he suddenly shivered all over, and his body gradually became damp. How did that woman kill the big bull without making a sound? Daniu was the most powerful martial artist among them. How could he just face each other and it was over? He didn't even hear the sound of fighting. Thinking of the cold, dark eyes of the woman staring at me just now, I suddenly felt the wound on my thigh getting more and more painful. Fatty suddenly secretly regretted why he had to chase this woman in just now. This woman just turned a corner and rushed into the room. He could vaguely see the woman's shadowy figure, slim and enchanting, and he became lustful. How did you know that this place is a killing god? But there was still a silent dead woman lying there. Even the fat man himself couldn't figure out what was going on. Maybe this woman was also sent by a certain copycat to check things out. When Zhang Xiaoxiao walked out, the whole station was already in chaos. 3 robbers and bandits were suppressing a group of people in the dark yard. Everyone was tightly, and the robbers searched their bodies one by one. While cursing and kicking, each person was killed with a knife. It seems that these bandits are not prepared to survive, and these people are secretly gritting their teeth. Many of them are private salt dealers. It sounds like private salt dealers are very powerful. In the eyes of outsiders, those who can smuggle salt are probably extremely vicious. Who would have known that these salt traders were risking their lives? Every time they took this road, they seemed to be on a path of no return. Not only were the officers and soldiers staring at them, trying to get some money out of them, but the bandits were also unwilling to let them go. Everyone knows that their smugglers of salt have money, so everyone's eyes are on them. They were really risking their lives, but this time they made a mistake. They originally thought that they lived in the inn generously and had given money to the inn's petty officials. It was very safe to live here. Who knew that these bandits were so bold? Completely ignoring that this was an inn, they rushed in and drugged them all with a puff of smoke. Everyone is here. It seems that this time, the fate is handed down here. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 915. Chapter 915 Miss Zhang. Li Shenio secretly resented that it was the first time he followed his brother out to sell salt, and who knew he would encounter such a thing. Brother died here just now while resisting. I won't live long either. The 2 brothers had no choice but to embark on this road. This is what their family does. How many people can live without selling smuggled salt now? The border area is remote and desolate. Although the family has land, apart from paying various taxes on the annual harvest, it is difficult to even feed them. Of course, it's not that their land here is not good, but that the surrounding barbarians invade from time to time. Before the harvest season, a large number of barbarians came to plunder from time to time. The officers and soldiers are corrupt, and what goes up and down does not work. In addition to depriving them of the livelihood of ordinary people, these people probably have no intention of expelling these barbarians. As long as it is not a large-scale invasion, they don't care at all. Salt is very expensive here. A pound of salt costs 1 tael of silver. How can ordinary people afford to eat? That's why there is such a thing as smuggling salt. His father, uncles, and grandfather all died on this road, and now their 2 brothers will also die on this road. But this death was really unjust. The 2 brothers had practiced martial arts with the monks in the mountains before, so they dared to take this road. Who would have thought of being drugged by these bandits with just a handful of cigarettes? This is really a common practice. How can you walk along the river without getting your shoes wet? My brother is gone, and now I am gone too. Leaving behind my sister-in-law, younger sister and blind mother at home, the days ahead will definitely be more difficult. Without a man to protect her, she knew that her sister-in-law, sister and mother might not survive. Sooner or later the family will have to reunite underground. Hateful secretly. There were other young and middle-aged people from their own village and from other villages. At this time, all of them had red eyes, but there was nothing they could do. Facing these bandits, they are now powerless cattle and sheep waiting to be slaughtered. At this moment, a woman stumbled out. Looking at the clothes on her body, she knew it was the young lady who lived here last night with 2 servants and a nanny. I'm afraid it's hard to escape the hands of these people now. If a woman really falls into the hands of these people, she may end up worse than them. As expected, the 3 bandits saw the woman rushing over in panic and immediately left. Boss, what's going on? Why did you let a woman run out? It seems that the boss still needs that gold to keep it from being scattered. These words were quite obscene, but when the woman rushed in front of them, Everyone was stunned and saw that the little woman actually held a dagger in her hand. Probably because he was too unprepared, he saw the knife fall from his hand. The two people who were facing the woman had their necks wiped directly. It's so clean and neat that it's hard to imagine. The remaining bandit was startled and hurriedly tightened the knife in his hand. Dancing like a tiger, he rushed directly towards the woman. "You little bitch, how dare you kill my brother?" Zhang Xiaoxiao took a slight breath after finishing the last one. The ancient clothes he was wearing were indeed inconvenient. Number 9 is quite considerate. Whichever world he enters, he equips himself with the clothes of that world. Now she still has a mask on her face and a cape behind her. However, the dress must still be adapted to the clothing of this era, and it looks a bit mysterious like a chivalrous woman. There were piles of corpses scattered in the yard, and there were only 20 or 30 people alive. Zhang Xiaoxiao went up and cut the ropes on their hands. Killing is really not something humans do. At least the monsters I kill in another world are just monsters. Now he is really killing people. His hands that save people have completely turned into a murderous demon. Of course, there is actually no psychological burden in killing these people in front of me. After all, these are bandits. I didn't see these people driving everyone in the yard to death. Li Shiniu and other villagers took knives on the ground and chopped the bandits into pulp to vent their anger. Too many people had died. All the brothers who went on the road together were just trying to escape for a bite to eat and for their families to survive in this troubled world. But now, all lives have been cut off by these bandits, and not only these people have lost their lives, but the members of the family may also be in crisis because of this. Of course, the fat man and the man in the room could not escape either. The fat man was obviously still alive, but he was directly killed by these people. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the 3 corpses in front of him, the corpse of 2 men and a nanny. These were pointed out to her by Li Shiniu, saying that he had brought her with him. Of course, there was also a woman's body here. In fact, only she knew in her heart that this woman was probably the young lady, but apparently the young lady had committed suicide and did not want to be humiliated at the hands of the bandits. It's a pity that no one dared to look at the young lady clearly, so they naturally thought that the girl was Jiang's little maid. Zhang Xiaoxiao was melancholy, and he was completely speechless this time. Number 10 is very good at playing. This IQ is absolutely outstanding, and the setting difficulty is absolutely masterful. At this moment, Zhang Xiaoxiao is at a loss. His eyes went dark. Zhang Xiaoxiao sat on the stone in the yard and sighed, the dagger in his hand dancing like a flower. The sky is so big and the earth is so big that I have no place to stay. Li Shiniu discussed it with a dozen young people in the village. This girl was their benefactor. Now it was obvious that the girl's nurse and servants were all dead. Even if they didn't see her, they were looking at the sky in sorrow and sighing. Now they can't wait to die without saving. Li Shiniu stepped forward cautiously. "Girl. My surname is Zhang." Zhang Xiaoxiao was depressed. "Miss Zhang, if you have somewhere to go, we can you to find your relatives. If you really have no place to stay, you can stay in our village first. These things should be on your carriage." A package was handed over. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a look at the fine silk and satin. Even if he looked for it without any discernment, he could also tell that the furoshiki were all high-end goods. Opened it and looked at it. A small box, a letter, a broken blade, and a few changes of clothes. Zhang Xiaoxiao opened the letter and found a decent letter. Miss Zhang Suimei, her father left her alone before his death. He left this girl to be taken care of by his close friend Feng Ziwen. The two families were related. Unfortunately, the last servant also died. This young lady has obviously returned to her hometown. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the road guide. I didn't care anything else, and disdain what Miss Zhang is impersonating, but there is no way to lead, and she is hard to walk. This road refers to something similar to an ID card. Zhang Xiaoxiao put it away. Zhang Suimei was dead anyway. In order to find number 10, I will have to travel around in the future. It seems that this thing will be useful to me. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 916. Chapter 916 Taxation. Brother Li, if it's convenient, I'll go back to the village with you. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought about it for a long time. Now that the future is unclear, he can't just walk around rashly. A lonely woman was walking on the road. This was ancient times but not modern times. There were no trains, planes, or ships. I am alone on the road, and bandits are rampant. I have never heard of them. This is a troubled time. Walking on the road alone as a woman, although she is not afraid, there is always trouble. And the situation is unclear. We don't know where number 10 is hiding now. I can't just look for it all over the world. It is better to settle down first and let number 9 slowly search for the traces of number 10, and then go back to number 10 little by little. With the precedence of the last two worlds, we must not be alarmed here. The boy number 10 ran too fast. They are chasing number 10, and number 10 is also avoiding them. Once they find traces of their existence in this world, number 10 will probably run away immediately. Zhang Xiaoxiao decided to follow Li Shiniu and the others directly back to the village. Li Shiniu felt a little happy. On the one hand, he saw his savior in front of him. When you return to their village, there will always be a time when you can repay your kindness. On the other hand, the girl in front of me obviously has some skills. No matter whether she is an official lady or a military general, her skills are definitely much better than theirs. So Li Shiniu and the others cleaned up and buried the bodies of their companions. He took their belongings and went straight on the road. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked with them back to the village. In this era, if you don't have an ox cart or a horse-drawn carriage, you have to rely on your legs to walk. And these salt dealers rely on their legs to do any business, so naturally Zhang Xiaoxiao had to go back with them. This is a hard time for Zhang Xiaoxiao. Although she is not afraid of hardship, the problem is that the road in this era is not the asphalt road in the future. You can walk however you want. Not only is the terrain uneven, there are also many ditches and canals. Zhang Xiaoxiao worked hard to adapt to the speed of keeping up with these men. Although she kept a straight face when walking, only she knew how tired she was. Of course she never knew that her behavior along the way had shocked men like Li Shiniu to the point of being stunned. They are salt traders. Walking on these roads was like walking on plain ground, but I didn't expect that this official lady was no worse than them when walking on these roads. And because the girl was so fast, these men almost used all their strength. I only regret that I didn't have a pair of wings. Zhang Xiaoxiao followed Li Shiniu back to Jiakan. Li Shiniu found Zhang Xiaoxiao a house in the village. There are many abandoned houses. In this era of war and chaos, the village is not peaceful. Various kinds of cholera often occur. It is either bandits or military disasters. Sometimes barbarians come to plunder. There were a lot of empty houses in the village. Zhang Xiaoxiao picked up a clean and tidy one and packed it up to live alone. Once the village chief heard that Zhang Xiaoxiao was kind to Li Shiniu and others, he welcomed them with both hands to live in the village. Anyway, there were many houses in the village. Li Shiniu and his family live very close to where Zhang Xiaoxiao lives. They are almost neighbors. In this way, Li Shiniu and his family can take care of Zhang Xiaoxiao a little. Actually, Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't need anyone to take care of him. Li Shiniu's sister Li Taihua has been with Zhang Xiaoxiao all day long. Li Taihua didn't say anything about her, just because their family was too poor. Even if they were told, they probably wouldn't be able to prepare the dowry. Besides, Li Shenyu and his brother often had to go out to sell salt during the war. Without the support of my sister at home, my blind mother and sister-in-law may not be able to survive at all. Unexpectedly, my brother is gone now. The family cried and complained for a long time, and had no choice but to cheer up and continue to live their lives. Zhang Xiaoxiao has lived in the village for half a month, and the autumn harvest is approaching. Although she had no land in the village, she felt that life here was quite peaceful when she saw the hard-working and kind-hearted villagers. Of course, if she was not looking for number 10, living in this quiet and remote village for a while would not be a bad idea. Not a happy thing. Unfortunately, this was not what she wanted, but on this day, Li Shenyu hurriedly came to find Zhang Xiaoxiao. "Miss Zhang, I will send you to live in Yanmen Pass. The money you have on hand is enough for you to rent a small courtyard to live there. Miss Zhang, I am not driving you away, but because we are about to levy taxes here. I heard that taxes will be increased this year. The head tax cost 1 tael of silver per person. I'm afraid that Miss Zhang will be dragged down by us." Li Shenyu is an honest man. Zhang Xiaoxiao believes that this man will not use these lies to excuse himself. Miss Zhang Swimajiang still had 200 taels of silver left in her box. This amount of money is nothing to the rich, probably not even a fraction, but to these rural people, it is a huge sum of money. Zhang Xiaoxiao is also willing to help Li Shenyu. In the past half-month, Li Shenyu, Li Taihua and Zhang Xiaoxiao have gotten along very affectionately. These two brothers and sisters are both honest and honest people. "Brother Li, if you need money, I still have dozens of taels of silver on hand to help you pay taxes first." Li Shenyu sighed and shook his head. "Miss Zhang, we appreciate your kindness, but it's a pity that not one family in our village has encountered this. Originally, the money to pay the tax this time could be earned by dozens of us strong men selling salt return. Who knew that such a big thing happened on the road, and all the money was wasted, which was collected by the whole village. Now that the money is gone, no one can afford to pay taxes. Miss Zhang, I understand your good intentions, but you'd better move to Yanmen Pass first. I'm afraid there will be chaos here, and if the taxes are not paid, the officers and soldiers will come to arrest people. There will inevitably be casualties. Moreover, we are about to have the autumn harvest. Once the barbarians get the news, I am afraid they will come to rob us too. Our village is on the outskirts, very close to northern Xinjiang, and is a frequent target for barbarian plunder. It is really not safe here." Zhang Xiaoxiao actually admires Li Shenyu in front of him. He is a real person and does not just care about himself just because he can help him with money. "Brother Li, since you can get money by selling smuggled salt, why don't you quickly raise a sum of money and sell salt again? Maybe you can earn back all the taxes. If you really can't come up with the capital, I can first sell the things I have on hand. Use the money to make capital for everyone." Zhang Xiaoxiao is really not a person who is short of money. She doesn't take these 200 taels of silver seriously. She wants food, weapons, and skills. It's not like she can't survive here. Even though this is ancient times, she can live a prosperous life. I also sincerely want to help Li Shenyu and the others. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 917. Chapter 917 Training. Li Shenyu waved his hands hurriedly, with a panic look on his face. "My benefactor, you must not do it. That is your own money, how can you use it to make capital for us? Smuggling salt is extremely risky. If you don't have someone familiar with you, you may never come back. Bandits are rampant along the way, and officers and soldiers are rampant. In the past, the young and middle-aged people in our village gathered together, and there were 50 or 60 people. We all dared to act together. At least we had the strength to fight against bandits. But now there are only a dozen of us dead. If these dozen people go out, they are not enough to take over a group of bandits. Li Shiniu also sighed when he talked about this matter. This is the case in several of their villages. When the farming season is busy, everyone is a farmer doing his or her duty. In their spare time, they will take risks and sell private salt in order to survive. They relied on strong men. This time the casualties were serious, and the vitality of their Ljia village was severely damaged. Zhang Xiaoxiao started selling private salt, and he just learned history. Also, I know it from novels and unofficial history TV series. Think about it. The remaining strong men should be trained. I have a special training method. Maybe we can go on a trip. I have 100 taels of silver in my hand. Maybe we can earn back the tax money. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought of Long Zheng. Wu Yang and the others can have supernatural powers, but what about the people here? Even if he can't, he still doesn't understand Song Moding's training methods. It should be no problem to train a large number of soldiers. Li Shiniu thought of Zhang Xiaoxiao's tricks. This little woman saved them all by herself. Single-handed, with great skill. It is really possible if Zhang Xiaoxiao helps them. Li Shiniu probably always remembered that ghostly figure flashing past in his heart, and the two bandits who fell to the ground. It was deeply impressive and engendered unparalleled trust. Even if the person in front of you is a woman. Li Shiniu admires Zhang Xiaoxiao in his heart. Li Shiniu immediately went to find several elders in the village. This is a big matter, and he cannot be the master of major matters that determine every household. After saying these words, several clan elders looked at each other in confusion. Shiniu, isn't this something inappropriate? That's a woman. Besides, there are too few of you. Last time, the village spent everything. Now even if we take out the silver, I guess 50 taels won't be enough. The risk is too high. How could the clan elders not be worried? There is no way out in the village. Who doesn't know that this year's taxes will be heavier? One more item is almost equal to 1 tael of silver on everyone's head, which is life-threatening. But there is no place to take risks. They are helpless when they need people but no one, and they need money but no money. Li Shiniu pleaded with his eyes open, "Uncle, I think we can give it a try. Miss Zhang saved a group of us by herself, and her martial arts skills are absolutely convincing. If Miss Zhang agrees to teach us, maybe we really have a chance to survive. Otherwise, the village will not be able to raise taxes. At that time, we will either follow the example of those bandits who went to the mountains to become bandits, or we will be captured and sent into the army. In any case, we will die. Why not give it a try? Who wants to die?" The clan elder pondered. They were old, but seeing the difficult life in the village, Li Shiniu was right, they had no choice. "Okay, let's give it a try. Those of us who are old will mobilize everyone to raise money. In the past few days you can practice with Miss Zhang." The next day, at the threshing floor at the entrance of the village, there was a space as big as 2 football fields, where 18 young and middle-aged men stood waiting. The smallest one is only 13, and the largest one is only 18. People die every year in the village, and those who are born cannot keep up with the death rate. This is the only strong man in the village. "What are you practicing? Didn't Brother Shiniu practice martial arts with the old monks in the temple? Even Brother Shiniu's brother was beaten to death by those people. Can we do it after practicing?" "I don't know either. I heard that Miss Zhang was asked to train us. How can it be possible to let a woman take care of us men? Don't they all say that women should take care of their children at home? How come they run out and practice kung fu? Isn't that Miss Zhang a lady? Is it possible that she still practices kung fu? Whose lady practices kung fu?" "Shut up, that Miss Zhang is very powerful. Do you think Miss Zhang is the same as us? I suspect that Miss Jiang's family should be the kind of girl who is a general. Have you never heard of the young ladies from the families of those border soldiers? Who knows how to use fists and kicks? Otherwise, if you encounter an escape situation, you have to save your own life. Also, we saw Miss Jiang's Kung Fu last time. It was very powerful, but it only cost 2 people with 1 sword, and people died in front of them. That kind of Kung Fu, let alone Brother Shinyu, just 2 more, Shinyu I can't even beat him. If we learn Miss Jiang's skills, who will we be afraid of when we go out? If those bandits dare to rush up, we will beat them to death with sticks. The people who said these words had seen Zhang Xiaoxiu's Kung Fu at the inn. Those young and middle-aged people did not regard Miss Zhang as a rich lady in their minds. Who could be so fierce and capable of directing a rich lady? Kill the bandits. The newly arrived young men in the village didn't take it seriously, but what else could they do if they were just a pretty young lady? How powerful can it be, no matter how powerful it is? While talking, Li Shinyu brought Zhang Xiaoxiao to the crowd. Stop making any noise, Miss Zhang is here. The moment everyone saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, they were a little dazed. Is this woman in front of them? Zhang Xiaoxiao specially changed into men's clothes for training today, and the skirt was obviously inappropriate. Changed into short men's clothes, and the trousers and wrist cuffs with cloth belts. Hair was directly into a bun. A grey cloth bag to tie up the hair. The neat appearance looks like them, like an underage young adult. Of course the mask on his face was not taken off and the cloak was not worn. Everyone, please listen to my orders and start training today. Song Moding's training method is very effective. Of course, Zhang Xiaoxiao has seen how her husband trains buns and glutinous rice balls. His son can be very agile at a young age, let alone these people. Although time is a bit tight, as long as you receive systematic training. Learn to follow orders and prohibitions, act in a unified manner, work together in unity, and trust each other. This is the most important thing. On the threshing floor, these people started running and jumping for training every day. Soon, these people became a little puzzled. If simply running and jumping could allow them to deal with those tough bandits, then will so many private salt dealers die on the road? Especially running and jumping now consumes too much energy, and the village does not have enough food. The month before the autumn harvest is the most difficult, and the family has almost no food left. Most people rely on wild vegetables from the mountains and mix in the remaining grains at home to eat. In fact, everyone's stomach is only half full. After such a large amount of exercise, people are actually so tired that they almost faint on the ground. Not to mention that these running and jumping sports are not as simple as they imagined. According to Zhang Xiaoxiao, that means carrying 5 kilometers of weight every day, coupled with all kinds of obstacle course training. It's no wonder that all the people in front of him are complaining. Just wait until the next day when someone faints. Li Shinyu asked people to bring baskets and cauldrons to the threshing floor. There are black-faced steamed buns one by one, and the meat-scented broth is floating in the big pot. This is the food prepared by Zhang Xiao, Zhang Gongzi for everyone. It was bought with her own silver. Zhang Gongzi said that if the body's nutrition cannot keep up, this kind of training may not be effective. So you all remember, this is all Mr. Jiang's kindness. Everyone cheered instantly. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 918. Chapter 918, Provoking Generals. The black faces were taken out by Zhang Xiaoxiao from his own space. In fact, his own space was full of white faces. These black faces were in another world. There were some plant seeds there that I accidentally threw into the ground and grew, and what came out was this black surface. Although this kind of noodles tastes rough and harsh, it is very filling and has a high yield. Zhang Xiaoxiao has done research and found that the calories of these black noodles are not inferior to those of white noodles, and even contain higher protein than white noodles. At that time, I just thought it wouldn't hurt to plant a little and keep it, just in case it might be needed someday. How could I have imagined that in ancient times, the white flour in my hands did not exist in this world? White flour here is called polished rice flour, and only the rich in the city could eat it. These ordinary people may not even be able to eat black noodles. It is even less likely to have sweet potatoes, corn, potatoes, and the like. They are close to the border here. The desert is desolate and the land is barren. Most of the people here plant crops that are drought resistant. They harvest beans and other things, grind them into powder, and mix them together to eat. In fact, for them, black noodles are simply top-notch good things. The stew in the big pot was made by her and Lishaniu, who went around the surrounding mountains overnight and caught some pheasants and rabbits. As long as she puts on the mask, it is very easy to find the nests of pheasants and hares. It's often just the same thing. Lishaniu was so impressed that he fell to the ground. Lishaniu never thought that this was due to luck. He just felt that the Miss Zhang in front of him was too powerful. People could tell that she had rich experience. Wherever there are pheasants, one has to find them accurately. Wherever there are hares, there is a nest at one end. If they were allowed to go up the mountain, it's not like their brothers had never gone up to the mountain to hunt before, and they might finally catch a pheasant in 4 or 5 days. I didn't see the stone flying out of the man's hand. Immediately, a pheasant fell to the ground and could no longer move. Not everyone can do this skill. He heard that the master monk who was in the mountain once said that this skill was called falling leaves and flying stones. It is said that only people with top internal strength can fly flowers and hurt people. He admired the Miss Zhang in front of him more and more, and he no longer regarded Miss Zhang as a woman. She was simply a master. This is why he changed his name to Mr. Zhang. Calling him Miss Zhang would easily lower the master's reputation. A group of young people in their 14s and 15s ate with open stomachs and drank to their fill. Sure enough, it doesn't feel that difficult to train again. No one fainted, but everyone still had doubts about the training methods. Some people questioned that Zhang was severely beaten with a stick by Lishaniu when he was a child. In Lishaniu's words, "Dare to doubt the master? Did you know that in ancient times, someone was willing to accept you as a disciple? It was because your family had accumulated great virtues. You didn't see that those apprentices had to be beaten when they didn't have enough food, clothing, or warmth. It's better for you. You dare to doubt the master after you have enough to eat and drink. Methods. Is anyone so ungrateful? This is given to you as a means of survival." Everyone was unconvinced, but there was no way that the iron ox in front of them was much more powerful than them. But it is true that I am not convinced. Zhang Xiaoxiao had already seen it. I have been training them using the same method as training special forces, especially practicing assassinations against scarecrows every day. Obviously, these children are a little confused about this training method. On this day, Zhang Xiaoxiao held a meeting. 18 people sit in a circle. Fight against each other. Each person holds a wooden stick in his hand. The head of the wooden stick is round, which is equivalent to a spear in his hand. Pairs of battles are indeed exciting. Which young man is not less competitive in his heart? The battle between the young men holding wooden sticks began, and they suddenly discovered that their moves actually included those assassination moves. And these actions are quite effective. Every time the stick pokes the opponent, Zhang Xiaoxiao will remind him that what he poked at this time is not the vital part. If he pokes the vital part, he will be killed in one blow. The young people who were laughing and joking just now suddenly became serious because they realized that the vital points Zhang Xiaoxiao reminded them could be hit with one hit. Everyone was eager to try and challenge each other with a stick. So the subsequent fights became more and more difficult to distinguish, but the moves became more sophisticated. When the competition between the 18 people ended, they suddenly felt extremely grateful to Mr. Zhang in front of them. In the past, they felt that this kind of training was useless. What was the use of running and jumping all day long? If they go into the mountains to collect firewood or do farm work every day, the mountain roads walking back and forth are much more troublesome than running and jumping. But now they find that walking on those mountain roads seems to be like walking on flat ground. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked 18 of them to form a formation and start fighting. Scattered individual combat is different from collective combat, requiring someone to command and prohibit it. In Zhang Xiaoxiao's words, 18 people form 2 teams, each with 9 people in one team. Pairs back-to-back form a circle. Under the unified command, everyone took action at the same time, because after previous training, everyone seemed to be sensitive to 123's orders and very disciplined. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Li Shiniu decided to let everyone have a deeper understanding of their current status. Li Shiniu went to a neighboring village. There are smugglers of salt in the nearby villages, but in terms of strength, their Ljia village is currently the weakest because of the number of male casualties. Especially in the last casualty, their Ljia village suffered the most deaths. Seeing Li Shiniu, Linda Wang, the head of Linjia village, was secretly proud. He naturally knows that the people of Ljia village suffered heavy losses last time, and now that taxes are coming, if they don't make some money as soon as possible, Ljia village is likely to be destroyed. Of course, they have no intention of annexing Ljia village directly into their Linjia village. With this opportunity, we can expand the scale of Linjia village. After the population expands, at least there will be more strong labor. The larger the population of many villages, the greater their ability to withstand disasters. I haven't seen that the bandits have a somewhat relaxed attitude towards the larger villages. The bandits will also choose the weaker ones to rob. Villages with relatively small populations and large villages generally rarely go to bandits, because if the strong men in these villages are really organized to fight, it will also cause them a lot of headaches and heavy losses. Even a wolf will choose the weakest one to bite. Tai Niu, what's wrong with you? Linda Wang's attitude is somewhat condescending. Li Shiniu smiled and said, Brother Lin, I know that you are planning to walk the salt road again recently. The brothers in our village have also practiced their skills. I thought it would be better if we all go on the road together so that we can take care of you. Linda Wang glared, was this a response? This is shameless to seek their protection. Shiniu, how many people are there in your village now? Don't talk big, just merge with our Linjia village and get the protection of Linjia village, wouldn't that be great? Go straight to the point. Li Shiniu's expression changed. Their ancestors were their foundation. Linda Wang wanted to annex them. Brother Lin, the people in our village have made great progress recently under the training of Mr. Zhang. In fact, it's not a bad idea for us to go by ourselves, we just think that we can take care of each other together. Haha, Mr. Zhang? What Mr. Zhang? What progress can a young man in the city make? Do you really believe what such a young master says? Well, since you are not convinced and think you can do it yourself, let's give it a try. If you defeat our Linjia village, then we will set off together. We will protect you this time. Needless to say, if you can't defeat our Linjia village, otherwise you will merge into our Linjia village, and we will naturally give you shelter. Otherwise you can figure it out on your own. Playing right into Li Shiniu's heart. Before he came, he talked with Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked him to say this, and Li Shiniu felt offended. Unexpectedly, village chief Lin agreed happily, which was exactly what Mr. Zhang expected. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 919. Chapter 919. Half a cup of tea. Early in the morning, several elders from Linjia village and Ljia village all gathered on the threshing floor. Several benches, surrounded by villagers from 2 villages. Linjiakan obviously did not bully them, and they also sent 18 people. Knowing that there were only a few of them, Linda Wang felt a little proud now. There are only 18 strong men left in the entire village. According to this, in such troubled times, it is absolutely impossible to survive without relying on others. I'm not sure, this is one of Jiakan's methods. Losing to them can be regarded as a legitimate method to hand over the entire village to their Linjia village. Of course, by the way, the strength of Linjia village was used to block the mouths of the villagers below, and everyone in the province was shouting. Linda Wang was so proud that he ordered the 18 strong men in the clan, not too many and not too many, and the rest said they were bullying others. 18 versus 18, the young men from the two villages looked at each other on the field. Li Shenyu looked at his family and felt a little ashamed of himself. Their young men were young and not in good shape and could not keep up with others. Fortunately, I am energetic and energetic. I have eaten enough for more than a month, and my morale is really different. Okay, let's start with a competition between neighboring villages until you hit the point. There will be white powder on the head of the stick. As long as it hits the vital point, you will be eliminated and exit the competition circle. The rules are still set. The troops from both sides start. As soon as the gong sounds, 18 versus 18. As soon as the gong sounded, the 18 people immediately changed their formation. In an instant they became a group of 3, each back to back, forming a solid triangle. 6 triangles were like moving human meat grinders in the opponent's crowd of 18 people. The wooden sticks in their hands were poked out quickly, and they all hit the opponent's vital points with one blow. This is the strongest training they have received from the 2-on-1 duel in recent training, how to end the battle with the fastest blow. This time everyone was very excited. This is the first time they have faced each other in actual combat. In the past, they have always competed with each other, so naturally they showed mercy. But this time, they decided to give their captain a long face. The master led them in. Cultivation is a matter of personal practice. The master has taught them so much. Just the change of formation taught them a lot. They can not only fight alone, but also in pairs, 3 people and even 18 people. It takes almost no time to use a cup of tea. 18 people in Linjiakan have been defeated, and all vital parts of their bodies have been marked with white powder. Linda Wang felt panicked as he watched 18 of his men being defeated directly by others. Li Shenyu naturally saw it. Come on. Since village chief Lin is not convinced, we can have another fight. Linda Wang was naturally not polite and replaced him with 18 more people. This time, 18 people were still defeated in less than half a cup of tea. Linda Wang replaced 36 people for the third time. Although they faced twice as many people as them, the 18 young adults in Jiakan were all excited. Morale is rising day by day. They remember one thing: no matter how many people are on the other side or how vicious the people are, they just need to attack bravely, as the training captain said, hoping to hit the target with one hit, and leave the back to their trusted teammates. 36 people were also defeated, and it still took less than half a cup of tea. Although some white powder spots occasionally fall on the body of 18 people, they are not critical. Under the protection of their teammates, they suffered minor injuries from each other. If they were really poked by weapons, these injuries would not be serious. At this time, Linda Wang couldn't keep his face. There were already 72 people coming and going in his house, and he couldn't get together in a group. That's a bit too shameless. Zhang Xiaoxiao said, "Village Chief Lin can find more people to join us, don't worry. We will never say that you are bullying the minority with more people. We just hope that you can see how people trained by us can face people who are several times stronger than others. Our enemy is still very aggressive and defensive. The road to selling smuggled salt is dangerous, and I don't know how many people will be chased and killed going back and forth. In this case, we should work together as a team. It's better if we all go together than if we go it alone." Zhang Xiaoxiao's words moved Linda Wang's heart. This is Mr. Zhang. The killing techniques and even the formations we have learned were taught by Mr. Zhang. Li Shenyu did not expose Zhang Xiaoxiu's identity. After all, a girl would be looked down upon by others. If a woman is disguised as a man, as long as he doesn't tell, he will gain more people's trust. Besides, what they were planning this time was extremely dangerous. With the people from Linjia village on their side, the dangers on the road would of course be reduced a lot. Okay. Since Mr. Zhang has such confidence, I want to see how powerful the people Mr. Zhang has trained are. Come on, let's all come together. Linda Wang was not polite either. He was no longer betting on this tone. Instead, he was a little curious about the people trained by Mr. Zhang in front of him. If he remembered correctly, the last time they went out to sell smuggled salt together, Jiakan suffered heavy casualties. It has only been just over a month since I came back, but they have made such progress in 2 months. This means that Mr. Zhang trained them within these 2 months, and he was able to train such well-trained people in such a short period of time. It can be seen that there are few people on the other side, but they do not attack at every step, and they cooperate well, but the other side suffers very few casualties. If this method works, of course he is willing to work with Ljiakan to learn from the best experiences of others. By being with the people from Ljia village, our people might be able to learn more tricks, which will only be beneficial to the people from Linjia village. Linjiakan is a big village. If all the young and middle-aged people go into battle, there will be more than 90 numbers. More than 90 people faced person number 18, and the formation and momentum suddenly changed. Although the 18 young people were very excited just now, they couldn't help but feel timid when facing the dark crowd opposite. At this time, Zhang Xiaoxiao stood in front of them. Remember, no matter how many people are on the other side, don't care about the number of people, no matter what kind of weapons the other side is holding, and don't care about how powerful the weapons in their hands are, just remember one sentence and keep moving forward. Concentrate only on the enemy in front of you and leave the back to your teammates. Trust and courage can overcome all difficulties. As long as you remember that you cooperate properly, there will be absolutely no problem. Even if we face 10 times or 100 times our enemies, we will still be invincible. The young people in Ljiakan are excited. Hold up the stick in his hand and shouted to Zhang Xiaoxiao. Invincible in all battles, invincible in all battles. In an instant, the momentum alone reversed the decline in an instant. Half a cup of tea, or half a cup of tea. Linda Wang felt that half a cup of tea had become his curse. He saw all the strong men in his village going into battle, and yet they were defeated with only half a cup of tea. Shame on you. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 920. Chapter 920 Training. 18 people hold headless sticks high in their hands, arrogantly. Even though there are so many of you, you may not be able to win if you have a large number of people. After this battle, their morale was greatly boosted. Who are those bandit officers and soldiers? Linda Wang was jealous. It was really 1 against 100. If the young adults in his village could learn their method, maybe their 2 villages could become a rope and really be able to cross the road of selling smuggled salt. Go further and further. Hands in hand to salute. Although Linda Wang is a bit powerful, he has some small thoughts in his heart. But Ding is Ding, and Mao is Mao. If you really have a heart to worship someone, you will naturally be sincere in your heart. Young Master Zhang is really a talent. With a great talent like Mr. Zhang here, we don't have to worry about taxes. I just hope that Mr. Zhang can see that we are all ordinary people living a hard life, just to earn a bite of food, and also teach us the villagers. Li Shenyu glared. This was poaching in front of him, and that he was wielding was so infuriating. Linda Wang, I call you big brother, how could you do this? Linda Wang chuckled and said, Mr. Zhang is not from your Ljia village. If he can teach you from Lgia village, he can also teach us from Lingia village. Mr. Zhang, we will give you double the number of bundles of cultivation that Lgia village gives you. Li Shanyu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao anxiously, not wanting to agree. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded, I have never asked for repairs from people in Lgia village, and naturally I will not ask for repairs from people from Lingia village. The only thing is that you have to be responsible for your own food. Anyone who wants to learn from me, strong man, you must keep up with the food. If you are hungry, don't blame me for not being good at learning. Recently, she and Li Shanyu have inquired about some information about the world. Anyway, these are troubled times. The so-called troubled times mean that people are in dire straits. At this time, you can teach others some skills and give them skills to survive. It can be considered the only thing she can do for the people in this world. These people are not at the right time in life. Now that it is at this time, don't care about these things and how to classify them into different classes. It should be said that these ordinary working people must be united as one, and only by uniting their hearts and having a large number of people can we protect them from surviving in troubled times. Linda Wang was overjoyed. As long as people are willing to teach them, they can learn real skills with a little effort. If they really learned this, what would they have to fear? In the next half-month, people from the two villages trained together. At the beginning of the training, the strong men in Linjiakan were a little confused. Isn't this just running and jumping? Is this okay? I was very doubtful whether Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others were hiding something secret, but the same happened when I saw the young people in Ljiakan. Moreover, the young people in Ljiakan were all very attentive in their training. Not only did they not complain, they also trained seriously, and each of them was so excited that they finally calmed down. But when they saw what the young people in Ljia village ate later, they were shocked. Having a meal of black flour steamed buns and stewed meat soup, I am still full. This is too luxurious. Even those whose families are well off would not dare to eat like this. Aren't you afraid of being poor? The problem is that this is how Ljiakan eats. Looking at the thin bean porridge in my hand, even if I drink a big bowl, my stomach will still be sluggish. After 2 laps, there will be nothing left. I'm jealous. Linda Wang was also depressed. He thought it was a joke to have to keep up with Zhang Xiaoxiao's meals. It is good to have enough food, but the people in their village have put out a lot of food to store, and the people in the village are still hungry. Who knew? They are real people. Looking at the end of the training, their men were lying there with weak hands and feet, unable to get up. Look at the high spirits of the young people in Ljiakan. Linda Wang gritted his teeth and wanted to learn some real skills. How could it be possible without a little effort? I haven't seen how Lgia village paid. Lgia village is much worse than their Lingia village. Just like this, they gathered the ability of the whole village to prepare so much food. On this point, they are inferior to others. Prepare. Soon, the young and middle-aged people in Lingia village followed suit. Of course, they couldn't afford steamed buns made with pure black noodles. It was not something people like them could afford, but they tried to find some way to get some black noodles. Mixed with wild vegetables from the mountains to make dumplings, at least there are dry food and porridge, which is not a little more than the original food. And the food afterwards was even better. When Zhang Xiaoxiao took Li Shanyu up the mountain to hunt, he would also consciously distribute it to some people in Lingia village to cook broth. Anyway, these wild animals are hunted from the mountain, and it doesn't cost anything. Of course, it takes a lot of effort to climb over the mountain. Rich. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that these activities were so large that if the body lacked protein, the wild vegetables and dry food alone would not be enough, so he consciously shared these wild animals with them. It is boiled in porridge and turned into broth. Everyone can eat meat protein, which will indeed make the body much stronger. I am more energetic than before when I exercise. Half a month passed quickly, because taxes would be collected in another month, and they had to go out quickly. Smuggling salt back and forth relies on human legs, so you must reserve enough time in advance. The young people from Linjiakan and Ljiakan went on the road. Of course, Linjiakan did not send out all the 80 or 90 people. They only sent out the 30 or 40 people for training. These 38 people and the 18 people from Ljiakan went on the road together. Of course, although they were said to be on the road together, they were still somewhat distinct in many cases. But Lu Xiaoxiao has made arrangements for them and made them very clear. Everyone must remember the offensive and defensive alliance. If you have selfish motives in your heart and insist on dividing yourself into Linjiakan or Ljiakan, your military morale will be dispersed when facing the enemy. Remember, they are a group, and they both prosper and suffer. Linda Wang and Li Shania were determined to follow this group of people directly on the road. Everyone carried dry food, water, and of course weapons in their hands. Everyone held a red tassel gun in their hands. They look majestic, but only they know that each of them has a red tassel spear in his hand. In fact, there are not many red tassel spears with iron tips. There are only a few dozen people with red tassel spear tips made of iron. Other people's red tassel gun tips are specially made of hardwood from the mountains. Everyone has several of these spears pinned to their tips, so they can be replaced at any time if they break. Fortunately, this gun tip is very strong, because Zhang Xiaoxiao found the best carpenter in the village and gave them a rough idea of his screw concept. After modification, these gun tips were indeed very strong on the gun. The group of people set out on the road happily, but fortunately no robbers appeared along the way. Of course, they had nothing on their backs. It was obvious that they were not carrying anything. These robbers were not crazy. Seeing that there were 50 or 60 strong men, they insisted on coming up to rob them. End of this chapter.